Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to the Black Girl Encourage Her. Did you miss us? We were on a short hiatus, but baby, we are back and we are better than ever. I have another spectacular guest that I want to introduce to you all. I'm not even going to delay. I'm going to bring her right on up. Let's get her up here. Hey, girl. Hey. How are you?
I am feeling amazing.
Yes, yes, I bet you are. We've got so much that we have to chat about. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Okay, so I am Dr. Pamela Gurley. I am the founder of Clark and Hill Enterprise, as well as the Brown Girl and Brown Boy Literacy Foundation. I am such a Renaissance woman, but I think that when I'm on platforms like this, which I'm loving, so thank you for having me. I I do a lot, and because I'm a writer full time, but I'm much more. And so those are the things that I would like to really talk about here is who I am really outside of work because I'm a dynamic woman. Um, I love being with my family. I'm a foodie. I love wine, but I like being able to network and in my authenticity. So how I show up here, you will see me show up at work. So yeah, that's who I am today.
I love it. I love it. And thank you. Thank you again for your yes. People don't realize how great of an ask it is to have someone kind of pause their day to come pour in, to speak to. So I'm always very appreciative of those who take the time to come and do what you do best and share your gift with the world. So there's so much that we can dive into, but there was a few things that just kind of popped into my head. Now, you said you are the owner of Clark and Hill Enterprises. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I provide a lot of written content. So I am a technical content copy and media writer. So essentially, if you need it written, I can write it from blogs, articles, media journalism, resumes. I do a lot of press releases. So my clients range from not only small businesses and entrepreneurs to publicists who need PR. I also do voiceover work for commercials and other different types of advertisements. I write social media captions for my clients. So I do a gamut of different things, but essentially, my company helps provide strategy for companies. I help develop companies, which a lot of times people fail to realize that in order to start a business, it requires writing, a lot of writing, because you're writing, constantly writing down your details. So a lot of my clients have it here, they just don't know how to put it on paper. And so
Mhm.
one of the things that I help them do is I help them create their strategies, or even if it's a startup, because I write business plans, we go over the concept. What does that look like? So I provide consulting services on that end, but it still ties back to what am I going to write for you to produce?
Nice. I love it. I love it. See, we gotta know who we're connecting with, right? Because you just never know. Somebody here might need some words. They're like, what, how can I say? And now they know Dr. Pam, they can come and they can get them some words. They can get
Yeah.
it help to build their brand and speak and articulate exactly what it is their message is. So I love what it is that you do professionally. Now, one of the things that you said that you would be interested in coming here today to talk about was self care. Now, I think we've kind of thrown that word around, made it really, really cliche. But if you had to give a definition of it, what would you say self care is?
Grace. Self care is
Mm,
giving myself grace. I am harder on myself than anyone else can ever be. I am relentless because I'm type A. I feel like I have to be working around the clock, but I learned that working around the clock does not always equal productivity. It doesn't always mean quality. So
yeah.
I had to learn how to give myself grace to be able to sleep in because I'm not motivated to work. And I work for myself. So it's not like I have to show up to anyone's office.
Yes.
And I think that's the worst thing. But what I did do is if you sit back and you do an inventory of your time, even if you work a 9 to 5, how much of those hours of your 9 to 5 are actually productive hours? I can
Mhm,
almost
mhm,
assure you, out of an 8 or 9 or even 10-hour day, you're probably only getting about 5 or 6 really good productive hours.
mhm, mhm.
And so, what are you doing with those other hours? Probably on social media, probably doing things because you're at work and you're just like, oh, making phone calls, talking on the phone, and you don't worry about the grace or
Yeah.
anything else like that while you are in those moments. But when you work for yourself as an entrepreneur, your mindset says to you, if you're not doing, it's like, what are you doing? You're not going to ever do this. You're not making money. You're not being, it just like hones on you. So you have to give yourself grace. And so I know a lot of entrepreneurs that keep pushing themselves, and then they burn out. So the goal is
Yes.
not to burn out because you leave a 9 to 5 to work a 12 or 13 or 14. It is
Mhm.
to sit back, evaluate, and do an assessment of how you want to spend your quality time in your business. That will be your most productive hours. And I'll give a quick example. As a
Yes.
writer, I am least productive in the morning. Like if
Ah,
you ask me to write anything in the morning, you probably would not get it. By around 2 o'clock, I hit a zone. Sometimes
wow.
that zone allows me to work super productively in like 3 hours, and I accomplish everything that I had on my list for that day that
Mhm.
I could never even fathom about in the morning. And there was that
Yeah.
one period, and before then, I didn't always have that. I was just working and doing other things, and my mind would go, I'm stopping one thing because I'm not inspired, doing something different. So I learned to give myself grace to lay in bed a little bit longer or to get up and do whatever it is that I want in the morning, whether it's sit back, watch TV, and have my coffee. Um,
Yeah.
and I've given myself that self-care because I've given myself that grace.
Hmm. I like that. And it reminds me, and I remember having a conversation with one of my sister friends. And this was during the pandemic where, those of us who used to work in the office were now at home and we were working remotely. And we used to laugh together because she would just get her day started. And she was like, I've literally done all of my work in 1 hour. So the whole 8 hour shift, she literally got the work done in an hour. And now it's like, now what? So now you're sitting at work trying to pretend, like me, I was like, I'm the queen of the wiggling the mouse. Like you just keep wiggling the mouse just enough, to keep that activity going on your computer. And I can say that now because I ain't employed with them no more. So, but it was the thing that, how much time do you really spend on pretending, right? Those non-productive hours. And that's one of the things that I do love about entrepreneurship, because now you're in full control over your set hours. Like you said, if you know that you get that productivity flow midday, then you don't start your day till around about then. Like maybe you'll come in and check some emails, but
Mhm.
the bulk of the creativity. And it would be nice if the industries, the corporations, the jobs would allow people to do like that, right? If you know that you flow better at a certain time, that's when you should be able to show up. So
Yes.
for
Oh,
me, I
and
was a trainer, a corporate trainer. So I just come in, like I can teach your orientation, I can do your in service, and I'm woo. And then once I'm done, I'm like, okay, now what? You want me to do what? Paperwork, this, that, So it's allowing people to flow in that area of genius. So I love how you said that self-care, when you have that autonomy. But let's talk about those people that may not have that autonomy to say, that I'm in control of my time. How can they implement this grace or this self-care for themselves?
so, and I know this might sound crass to say, but I live in a very authentic space. People make time for what they want.
Hmm.
So you can't say, I don't have time. You
Yes.
can't say, I have to keep doing. So I think
Mhm.
sometimes we are our own worst enemies because we fill our calendars. We make decisions for our life And so you can't say you don't have time unless you don't own your own time, which is, as far as I know, you own your own time unless you're at work. But when you get
Yeah.
home or when you get up in the morning, so and I'll give an example. If people won't get up to work out in the morning, but they'll get like, I would never get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work out. That's not my thing. Can
Mm-hmm.
I? Certainly, because if I can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to catch a flight, walk
Listen.
2 hours, have a I have time.
Yes, yes, bright eyed and bushy tail. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. So I choose not to be intentional about working out that time of morning, but there are people who are. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, we make time for what we want. When people say, I don't have time to write, I don't have time to write, who people who want to be authors, I'll say that. And I hear it all
Mm-hmm.
the time. And then they ask me, well, you have all these books, you always have time to write. And they think that because I'm an author, I do it full time, but I'm a full-time writer. So my books are a hobby. I have to
Yeah.
make time for those things. And I am intentional about getting them out there. So after my business day in, I try to dedicate about 30 minutes, that's it, to writing something, drafting something, because I'm intentional about the product that I want to create. So
Yes.
people who say they don't have time, I can't buy into it. People who have structured lives, and that's a lot of time management is about structure.
Yes.
So essentially, giving yourself grace to admit that you can make time, you just are too lazy and just don't want it, is nothing wrong with that. And I think that sounds, oh, I could never, I'm not lazy. I am to a certain degree. I'm not getting up in the morning because
Absolutely.
I'm lazy.
Absolutely.
Too lazy to
Yeah.
do anything. I think we need to shift the way that we view words because of what
Mm-hmm.
social media and all these other people say about being lazy. Because sometimes being lazy will protect your health. Because not
Mm-hmm.
sleeping, not eating, stressing out, none of that is healthy for your health. Sometimes being lazy is a good thing. So, just
Yes.
like too much of anything is bad. So I will say
Yes.
that. So you can pick and say, you know what, today I'm choosing me. I'm going to be lazy.
Yes.
Doesn't sound bad.
Right.
So
I like it.
I can't really buy into people saying that they don't have time because I've seen too many people make time for things that, to me, I'm thinking that's what you chose to do, but you say
Yeah.
you can't.
With your yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Like that ain't my business. Go on then. Go on. Go on
exactly.
then.
You want what you want.
But listen, I like what you said, and it was hard hitting, but it was straight to the point. People make time for what it is that they want. Right
Yes.
now, we were before you got onto this, this call, before the record button hit, right? You actually were out shoveling the snow, right? You were shoveling the snow. You had your sweater on. You were shoveling the snow, and you said something very, very that I picked up on. That you said you set yourself a timer,
Yes.
so you knew you had this interview to do, but yet you were out there, you were shoveling the snow, and you had a timer that went off.
Yes.
So, give us some tips, give us some practical tips on how we can make better use of our time.
So it's so funny that you would say that. My calendar is my lifeline. It's color
Hmm.
coded for family
Yes,
things, for business things. Like even when with me getting married, I color coded
yes,
it in red. And normally my media was in red. So since I wasn't doing all like when I had my publicist and I was doing so much media, I needed it to stand out. So things that
yes.
need to stand out go in red. When I have to pay
Hmm.
vendors off, when I have birthdays, when everything is highlighted in a color. So I don't
Yes.
miss a birthday because if your name is in my phone, guess what? I'm that kind of friend that I don't need to see it on Facebook. I have my timer set by
Very
that by 9.
good.
I know it's your birthday and I'm personally sending a happy birthday or doing a phone call. But when I have things to do specific during a day, I set an alarm on my phone like I do my wake up alarm. And it'll say
Mm,
podcast, it'll say pick stuff up. Don't if I have to get up in the morning and I'm terrible about remembering to grab stuff, I would literally put in there, don't forget. where right before I walk out the door, I'm like, let me make sure I have this. So
Nice.
if you get an alarm, it's a ringer and it's titled. So I
Yes.
know exactly why I set it. Calendar, if so everybody always know me. They're like, can you put this on your calendar? Can you put this on your calendar? Because I have this calendar in dates with my friends, not my
Yes.
man, but my friends. And so,
Uh-huh.
because I make sure that I like to be intentional about showing up. I am busy, I'm gone a lot, I'm traveling. And my friends know that, but they're just as much intentional about being with me as I with them. So they're like, hey, let's schedule it. Sometimes it's months out, but I
Yeah.
always get that reminder 24 hours before. I give
Yeah.
myself 2 reminders. Normally, I give myself about a week prior. Then I'm like, oh, okay. And then I do it 24 hours before.
Nice.
So I will know.
Very
So the calendar, everybody keeps their phone in their hands around them. Heck, I got two
true.
of them.
True. True.
And
Look, mine's right here. It's I knew it's within arm reach.
so there's no reason why you can't be intentional about it. Even my workouts, I have my workouts. I have when I'm, the days I'm church every Sunday through this time. Even if I don't go, it gives me a reminder. You know what? You made time for this on Saturday, but you didn't show up to church. So it reminds me. So I am
Yeah.
so intentional about my time management that
Hmm.
even if I realize that I've not put in self-care, I put it on my calendar that do a self-care check. And no matter what
Mm.
it needs to look like. And actually, it just says evaluate health. And for
Ah.
me, I keep it as health because I know that's my mental health, my physical health, and my spiritual health. So I already have been
Mm.
doing it for so long. So I have to stop and I evaluate my health. And I go
Now,
back and
how
I'm looking
often do you evaluate your health?
once a month,
Okay.
once a month.
I love
Yeah.
it.
The
Hmm.
third Saturday pretty much of every month.
Hmm.
Hmm.
People make time. They make time for the things they want, right?
And I
Right. When was
matter.
the last time audience members, I want to ask you all a question. When was the last time you checked in on yourself? You did an evaluation. And even if, today's a good day and you just so happen to do it, when will you do it again?
Hmm. And if you're consistent with it. So that's because if you look at monthly, you can really evaluate what you've done. If you try to do it every 3 months, time flies by so quickly. But if you
Yeah.
just pick a stopping point, so if I have not done self care things and if I haven't done things just for me, then I'm like, how did that affect me mentally? How has that affected me emotionally? Do I need to go and schedule an appointment with a therapist? How am I feeling? How am I feeling mentally? Does my body hurt? Do I need to walk more? Do you need to exercise? Am I drinking enough water? These are
Hmm.
things that I had to instill in my entrepreneur journey over the last 3 years. And then I finally just decided last year actually to make it a
Hmm.
year of because I really wasn't taking care of me.
Hmm.
And I took the initiative last year. So I made a summer where it was like my effort summer. It was like if I can't worry about anybody else, I can only worry about me. And I
Yeah.
really took care of me.
Yeah.
And that's where the calendar that evaluate your health came from.
I love that. I really do love that. And I know sometimes we do it, right? Like we remember to go to our doctor's appointments, we got to pick up our prescription. Like so we know to do it, but I like the activity of physically writing it down because if
Yeah.
it's in your mind, if you think about it, you'll do it. But if it's
Yep.
written down, it's almost like a contract with yourself. It says, this is what's going to get done. So I love that advice. I am using my calendar a lot more. I want to say over the time that I've been a full-time an entrepreneur, my calendar has become like my go-to. And now my clients are like, oh, send me a calendar invite. And I'm like, what? So now I got the alerts coming in. So I've got like calendars all over the place, and it really does help you to stay productive. And to me, self-care is just that. Self-care is time management. Self-care is checking in, evaluating your health every month. Right? That's what self care looks like. It looks like when you are checking in with you.
Exactly.
Now, Miss Lady, you got a lot going on. Right,
Yes.
you got a lot going on. Like you said, you are preparing, and when this show airs, she's gonna already be married. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna celebrate her. We're gonna congratulate her. But as of right now, so in the midst of wedding planning, getting all of the the little things taken care of up into your big day, you're still grinding it out. You're producing books. You're still working. You're doing all of these things. What would you say is the secret? Like, you are the queen of the multitask, right? And you're talking to a bunch of other queens of multitasking. What is your saving grace? What's keeping you going in the midst of all of this busyness that you're going through?
Girl, I have no idea. I wonder that myself. Honestly, it's a really great question, and I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever been that reflective. I think
Yeah.
because so much is written down,
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know. I have lists and I'm crossing things off. I'm like, I need to do this. In terms of the wedding planning, let me tell you a little secret of what I did.
Yes.
So I got engaged in December of 2022. By January, I had a date. By mid-January, I had the venue. By the end of January, I had also ordered all of my save the dates. I had them mailed out by February, a little over a year before. I had already had everything set up in terms of the invitations. I had almost everything laid out within the first 3 months, all the contracts done, all of those things. Does things kind of fall through and you got to do some stuff over? Yeah, but the heavy lift was done
Mm.
within the first 2 months. The
Wow.
the other portion of that heavy lift was done within the first 3 months. So
Wow.
I kind of got to like swim
Chill out.
through until
Chill out.
November when the my RSVPs closed, and then it's been like, okay, now I got and I get married in like 35 days. So even right now, I think because I got to take my time doing little things here and
Mhm.
there, the wedding portion really had stressed me out like I thought it would.
Right.
Like it
Right.
did in the beginning when there was so much to do. And then when I got to be lax, I was like, it's the people, it's the guests that make things difficult. Honestly, that it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
things that you have to plan. It's things that outside of you that requires input and all of that.
Mhm.
But I was also one of those no nonsense brides. I ain't have time. I was like,
Not a
I was
bridezilla, or just a no nonsense bride.
I
Yes,
was not
gotcha.
even a bridezilla. I was one that communicated so often that I was sending email messages and all of these things constantly. And I went above and beyond for all the people that's attending my wedding because it's destination, but it's in Florida.
Okay.
So I had that not really on my plate. Um, and then in terms of like getting work done, because I do own multiple companies, I had to
Mhm.
really become strategic in how I
Mm.
operated them. So instead of trying to get behind on one thing, or I'm just feeling like I'm all out of sorts, I chose days of the week that I would be intentional about working on different companies. So,
Mhm.
and then if I had to speak or do anything, I always know Mondays and Fridays are my admin days. I don't see clients at all unless I just choose
Mhm.
to. Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are my writing days, no matter what I'm doing for any company.
Yes.
I'm strategizing, I'm doing social media, and I don't post on social media like I should, but it doesn't stop the flow of what I have going on.
That's right.
So my focus is not showing up on social media. My focus is showing up for my clients and producing the good
Mhm.
work. And if it means that I don't get to post on social media for 3 weeks, it's no
Yeah.
heartburn to me because I have happy clients. Happy
Yes.
clients bring you other happy clients. So
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
the way that I had to focus my work. And I've always
Yes.
been very methodical like that anyhow. So what I would say to anybody who's an entrepreneur, whether you have a nonprofit or a for-profit, I think that if you structure your work day where you're not focusing on both or all or three or four at the same time, you will get
Mhm.
far more work done and have more time for productivity. And
Yeah.
productivity could be self-care, it could be cooking dinner, it could be relaxing, it could be catching up and binging on your shows. You will
Mhm.
see a very different outlay if you didn't feel frazzled trying to be here, be here, be here, be here, be here.
Mhm. I love it. I love it. And you really hit on some key points. And one of the things that it does sound like, and then you confirm this, is that this is your nature, like that. Keeping things structured, organized, very strategic, things of that nature, which is a good thing. It's almost like a blessing because now you just apply it to every area of your life.
Yeah.
Myself, I'm one of those people that I'm just a doer. I'm the one that likes to show up. I'm the one that likes to just, come in and do the task and then leave out. And I've never been strong in those areas, but I'm definitely getting to be like that. Can you give some advice? And I'll put myself into this because I'm not fully where I would like to be. But could you give some advice for those people who that's not their strong suit, writing stuff down, scheduling things in their alarms? Like, what kind of encouragement could you give to someone who's saying, well, Dr. Pam, that's great because this is something that you've grown accustomed to doing. I'm just starting out with this. Like, it's overwhelming to me.
So first, I have to say I love that you said you are a doer, because I hardly sit down when I'm at home, not unless I'm, like I said, I'm having my coffee, sitting on the couch, catching up on shows in the morning. But I'm
Mhm.
also in the morning that type of person that might be scrubbing my bathroom, packing, downsizing,
True.
pulling up carpet, laying down flooring, sanding a cabinet, doing DIY projects, making flower bouquets, I am never really sitting still, but I do the things that bring me joy. And so I
Mhm.
think that what you're saying is, and what I heard is like, I'm a doer because you love what you do. And so
Yes.
that's how I would say that if you can't, if you love what you do, I think that's completely great. But what about you? I think
Mm,
how we show up and what we show up to and for we can really help you evaluate your priorities.
yes.
Because work is work, and everybody's like, well, I just love what I do, I just love what I do. But then you can love what you do to a fault. Too much of a good thing is not good for you.
Mhm.
That's what I
Mhm.
said. So it's not the problem of doing, it's how do you go about finding pleasure of things that don't define, or that's not defined as work.
Mhm.
And what does that look like for you? And I think that's a great start.
Yeah.
It's, who are you outside of work? And I say that from experience. I used to be my job, like, badly.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
then now when I get on platforms like this, mentally, when people say, well, tell about a little bit about yourself, immediately my mind goes to who I'm not, who I'm not at work. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's easy to do introductions, but I became more than my work.
Yes.
Because I don't want, that's not how I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered for the impact that I had on people's life. And it does
Yes.
not always equate to being professional. I want to know that I inspired somebody to go back to school. I want to know that I inspired somebody to be intentional about their time, to travel more, to sleep more, to go to the doctor, to advocate for your health care. That's who I want to be remembered as. But I want to be remembered as this bright light that
Mhm.
lived authentically, and just in a place of peace. And I don't
Yes.
let anybody come in and disturb that. I had to learn how to reinforce boundaries. Note I said reinforce, not put boundaries in place, reinforce them. I've always
Yeah.
had boundaries. I just let
Mhm.
people run all over them.
Mhm. Mhm. As many of us do. Yep. Yep.
I think that I had to learn how to define my life by defining my priorities. Even in my household, if I don't want to do it, I'm just like, we have to share responsibilities. And I have
Yeah.
to keep my onus and say, I'm going to have to hold you responsible to be my helpmate,
Yeah.
because I can't do it all alone. And so I
Yeah.
had to get out of that mindset. Also is that it takes more than you to be happy. It takes more than you to be inspired. I can't just be sitting here and say, oh, I just inspire myself. It's women like you that share a story with me that say, come on here. And me and you was talking earlier, and I was like, wow. And I'm gonna tell you, look here, y'all, because I'm so transparent. When I showed up, I was not looking like this. I was not. And I said to her, and I saw her, I did say to her, I was like, if you're looking like that, no way in the world I'm going to show up looking like this. So I said, give me 4 minutes. And my doorbell also rang because we have food delivery come. And I'm like, nobody ever comes right now. So I went, got the box, changed my shirt, and threw on some lip. And here I am. And I came back literally in 4 minutes.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Intentionality in the authenticity that I had. I didn't have to ask her, can you just give me 4 minutes? Like, girl, let me get myself together. And she
Yeah.
sat and she was like, girl, take your time. I said 4 minutes.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
she was true
to me.
to it.
I am being
Yes.
true to myself to say, you know what? Let me show up, because I had unexpectedly had to shovel snow. And if anybody, you live in New York, so sometimes things have to be done for safety purposes when you have other people that's going to be walking up on your driveway and all of those things. And it had already been shoveled once, but
Yeah.
it's still snowing. So
Yeah.
I had to take care of that. And I saw my thing and I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to be late, but let me show up. And when she showed, I was like, no, can't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But that's
But
me
I
showing up.
like the fact that you did that, right? So you recognize something within you. And I think a lot of times people miss this, right? So you're going out with your girlfriends, and one of them shows up, hair done, makeup on, and she's razzle dazzled. And then you're looking at yourself and you're like, oh, I got my sweats on, my sneakers. So it's almost like you want to, it's not a competition, but you want to match that energy. Like, she coming with it. Oh, she bringing a full. Oh, okay. And that's what you did. You literally was like, oh, so this is what we doing? Bet I got you. Give me 4 minutes. Not only
Yes.
did she handle the groceries, but she came down and I said, go ahead, Diana, because I'm from a generation where we didn't look at Beyonce or whatever. It was Diana Ross.
Yes.
And I remember there was Diana Ross. She did this concert in Central Park here in New York. And this was years ago. And I was watching on TV as a kid. And Miss Diana changed her clothes. I mean, she hadn't have been out there for more than 2 hours or so. And she must have changed outfits at least 10 times. And she brought it each time. So it is about matching energy. So I think that's a good self-care as well. Get around people that are going to boost your energy levels up. Not somebody that's going to show up with the headscarf on and y'all going to be just sitting there together. So now all y'all want is the bag of chips and stuff. Get somebody that's going to force you or encourage you to step your game up. Right?
Oh, yes. I agree. And very little. Yeah. So because I'm getting married soon, I've been very conscious, like not to put makeup on right now. I'm detoxing. I'm drinking a lot of water so that my skin will glow. So I'm trying not to clog pores or do any of that stuff until my wedding. So this was literally I already had mascara on, lip. That's all I did. I put on lip and a different shirt. But if you would have saw how I really came, it's night and
Look,
day still.
you were cute. You were cute when you showed up. But baby, in 4 minutes when she came back down, it was like, oh, okay. So what it reminded me of is stay ready and you ain't got to get ready. So she didn't
Right.
have to pull out the ironing board and go ironing stuff and find this and find that. Red Lip does it every time.
Yes, it
Boom,
does. Yes, it
boom.
does. And let me tell you about self-care. And here's another thing about self-care. When you got good skin and you're taking care of your skin, you're going to glow. So all I had to do was pop the lip. That's it.
Yeah,
And I deliberately
yeah,
did red, because I got red in my glasses. Let me just go ahead and pop on some red lip and call it a day. But
yeah.
it's so, that's just a very simple self-care tip, regardless. It's like, I don't have time to be presentable. Nobody's saying you have to do a whole face beat.
Yeah.
And makeup doesn't make you, it doesn't change who you are. But I do think that it wakens your spirit just to put a little bit something on, and then you look and it's like, oh, I feel good.
You feel
taking a
good.
shower. When you're an entrepreneur, taking a shower sometimes is a challenge
Yeah,
because you got to find time. But that's why I said
yeah.
I get up in the morning, I can take my shower. And my hair is, well, my hair is doing its own thing right now. That's why it's braided back. Um,
All right.
but no, it's always it's done when I'm in the house, regardless, because I am intentional. Even if I have a robe on, I'm gonna take a shower. If I put on sweatpants, I still feel like I need to show up for
Mhm,
myself
mhm,
every day.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
what it is.
important. And it's the
That's
energy
what it
that
is.
you use. But just like what you talked about, energy is
Yes.
so vital. And
Yeah.
so if you are around people who can elevate you or going to show up and they're intentional about how they present themselves, it rubs
Mhm.
off. It
It
really
does.
does. It rubs off.
But I
It
love
rubs
that. That was so profound. You said you got to show up for yourself. So I don't
off
care if you got deadlines to meet, you're swamped at work, you still need to show up for yourself.
all
Whether
the
that
time.
is getting in the shower, putting on a clean pair of sweats. Boom, here I go. And it matches. Look at there. I'm doing something now. Got my socks, my footies, and my sweats matching. Like now you're doing something, but we really need to start being more intentional about how we show up for ourselves when there's no
Yes.
cameras on, when there's nobody watching, no one's coming to the door. How do you show up and how do you show yourself that you care?
Yes.
Simply put, right? How do you care? So I loved all of that. You gave great practical advice. I don't want to let you go without you getting a chance to share with us your book. Now I know you write all the time, but your latest project, tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, which project? Let me see. You know what's so funny? So because I did a lot of last year, I just normally I put out books. I think I did put out one children's book last year. It might have been
Is
my
it Brown Girl? What was the name of that one? Brown?
Boy Africa Adventures. I believe I put that one
Yes.
out last year. Yeah, because that was my 2023 book. Normally I put out sometimes 2 to 4 books, but nobody ever, that monkey wrench gets thrown in when you're getting engaged. And I wanted to enjoy my engagement. And
Yes.
this is when I put, because I'm my own publisher. I think for me, it was easy to say, you know what, I'm okay with not producing everything that I
Mhm.
normally produce. Sometimes I've done like 10, 12 books in a year before.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so for me, yeah, but I wanted to remember last year it was about me. So this
Yeah.
year I do have a couple of projects that are coming out books wise. But I
Nice.
also have an event on May 4th called Evening with Authors, and it's called Cocktails, Conversations, and Connections. And it's so much fun. So it's not just about authors signing books and vending and selling and whatnot. It's entertainment that's tied to it. So there'll be food there. There's spoken word poetry. There's a comedy show at the end. And I did it in Atlanta back on November 9th. And it was so much, we had such a great time.
Wow.
So authors can participate with that. You could just go to my social media and it's in links. And so I plan to do that a couple of times a year. And then, of course, I do connected to my children's book, which is my nonprofit. I have the Kids Red Carpet, a book tour and literacy festival that I will be hosting in 3 cities: Jackson, Mississippi, North Carolina, and in Huntsville. And so all of that information is on the nonprofit website. But in terms of my book projects that will be coming out, I'm trying to decide what books I'm going to write on for my Brown Girl, Brown Boy series, because I do have where I've started some that are in specialty fields, like for people who have autism or Down syndrome and disabilities. So those
Mhm.
3 are the only books in the series that have not been produced yet, but have started being drafted, and the cover work has been done for them. So those are coming out. It's Brown Girl and Brown Boy. Be unsocial, because a lot of people who have autism and selective mutism have social, disorders or disabilities. So
Yeah.
I found that would be important. And then Brown Girl and Brown Boy, Be Down, for those with Down syndrome, because I think it's important for them to see themselves in books as well. And then Be
Mhm.
Able for the disabled. So those will be the 3 that's coming out. And right now there's 7 books in the series. And
Nice.
Africa, was the last project that I released September 3rd. That one was special to me because I think the depiction of Africa for a lot of small kids, they don't realize that there are amusement parks there, that there's big malls, and it's more than just dry lands. If you fly into Johannesburg, it looks like New York. So,
Yes.
it's really, really nice. And I've done that in a couple of other places, but Africa has always been very near, I've been to different countries on the continent, and I just wanted children to see at least Johannesburg through my lens. And
Very
so that was
nice.
the latest project. So, and that one is not normally one that is my within the psychosocial and social emotional, which is what my book series really
Mhm.
lends a hand to. But I
Yeah.
wanted something fun and charismatic, and I had fun writing it.
Awesome. Awesome. And your podcast?
Yes, and we're on
Come on,
hiatus.
girl. Come on. She's doing it all. She's writing all these books.
I know. And so we're on hiatus for the podcast right now because of the wedding, but we are behind the
Yes.
scenes working at bringing in season 7. The logo has changed, so I'm trying to decide what I want the music, because I lay the vocals for our intro. A lot of people don't know
Oh,
that.
nice.
So when it comes on, you're hearing my voice and I'm introducing all of us. And so the ladies and I just had a meeting on, hey, let's talk about season 7. So season 7 will be returning the first Wednesday in April.
All right, all right. So you all are hearing it here first. Make certain that while you're on YouTube, you're already on YouTube. After you hit subscribe for my page, make certain you go over there to Herspiration Happy Hour and subscribe so that way you don't miss when season 7 gets started, because I actually had the opportunity to be a guest on there and we had loads, I mean, loads of fun. So, man, I'm telling you, you are literally just doing it all, and you are doing it so gracefully. And I just want to say that I am just super proud of you. You are representing us well, and I wish nothing but success and happiness upon you. We definitely have to have you back as a guest again, because you just have such a wealth of knowledge and information inside of you. Before you go, do you have any parting words that you want to share to everyone?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say thank you. I believe in the empowerment of shifting the narrative for Black women or BIPOC women. And so I really do deep down appreciate you extending to say, hey, I would love to have you, come on to the show. And then let me tell you this also, I had it written down. And so I was like, I need to register. So what I did was your registration link, I left up in a tab on my computer. And I said, I know that one of these days I'm going to get around to it, because it
Get
was a
around
constant
to it.
reminder to me that I had to go and do it. So
Yes,
I'm
yes.
I was so intentional about wanting to come here to want to
Thank you.
support you and lend my voice to such an amazing platform that is changing and shifting the narrative for Black and brown women. Last, I would say, encouragement, because I like to encourage her.
Mhm.
Encouragement really begins with all of us. And we have a responsibility to speak life into other women, and in very positive ways. And I think that one of the ways that we can do that is right now, I want you to choose someone who's been near and dear to you that you just have not had time to catch up with, and check in.
Mm.
Check in because they're strong. Check in because you see them online doing a damn thing and they don't look stressed out and they look happy. Check in on them
Yes.
and offer just to say, you were on my mind and I just want to know how you are doing. That's
Yes.
it. Because
Mm.
mental health is tied to everything that we do. We run and run and run, and we don't realize that sometimes we have what is called functional depression.
Yes.
And so we are functioning to avoid things that's going on in our lives. So that moment that you reach out to somebody that's close to you, just check in. Mental health check. It's that
I love
simple. So
it.
I would encourage everybody that's watching to just take that moment today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Go through your
Right
phone today and
now.
be intentional about checking in.
I
That's
love
all.
it. I love it. That was such a power-filled way to close. Dr. Pam, thank you again. Hang out for just a second. Let me give the people their marching orders. Baby, was that not good? I'm telling you, I've got such a amazing circle of sisters around me, and I am so glad to have Dr. Pam in my fold right now. I can call on Dr. Pam now if I ever need her for anything. So you all will definitely be seeing her again. I hope that you will share this message out with that same sister friend that you're going to check on. Say, hey, listen, I just watched this amazing podcast and I want to send it over to you. Share it on your social media networks and don't forget to subscribe. I have some more amazing guests that I want to bring to you for this season 4, and I can't wait for you to meet them all. So make certain that you subscribe and turn on the notifications and meet me back next week for another amazing segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her. Until then, God bless.